to the measures announced by the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa AKUFO-ADDO, to provide free water to all citizens from April to June 2020, which has further been reviewed to September 2020. The Community Water and Sanitation Agency developed guidelines for its implementation by the following providers: CWSA managed pipe water systems, communities and water and sanitation management teams, non-governmental organizations, and private sector companies. CWSA further submitted proposals based on estimated water consumption by the over 700 water systems identified to have been provided through public funds but are being managed by the water and sanitation management teams or the NGOs. The Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources and CWSA further officially communicated to all metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to request communities submit their water consumption data during the free water period to them for validation. The MMDAs are required to carry out validation to confirm the free water bills submitted and forward the same to CWSA at the regional level for further validation and compilation. The compiled free water bills are then submitted to CWSA head office for review and payment. In response to a press release issued by the Association of Small Towns Water Supply Systems Ghana, which stated that the association and its members will not comply to the President's directive to provide free water for the next period of July to September because government has not paid them for the free water they supplied from April to June. The CWSA top management met with the media on Friday, August 7, 2020, to explain why the private sector water providers under the rural water subsector have not been paid yet. The press briefing was led by the Chief Executive, Engineer Walanyo Kwejosiabe.
Today, we have agreed to throw light on free water measures that the President has announced. There was a publication which suggested that government did not want to pay for free water. And so we want to clarify the position of Community Water, which is leading free water provision, which was announced by the President. And truly, this is a time that the government had shown love to communities, especially rural communities, so that they can have access to enough water as one of measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. And I want to start from the background of CWSA reform. In 2017, the agency provided information to our ministry and indicating the challenges we have in the rural water sector. As of 2017, in Ghana, we have a total of 1,022 small town pipe systems, but just about 10% are providing basic service, which implies that around 900 of these pipe systems are not providing the services that are required. In fact, most of them are not functioning. And so the agency developed a program which we call the sector reform. And then we discussed with the ministry agreed, and then we submitted this proposal to Cabinet, and it was approved that Community Water and Sanitation Agency should step into the management of pipe systems. I believe this is all the beginning of the problem with especially these organizations called Association of Small Town Pipe Systems. Indeed, every water system provided in small towns were paid for by the government. These are all state assets. And based on the provisions and then the arrangements at that time, around 1990s thereabout up to 1998 thereabouts, we noted that because the communities are within the assemblies, so we have to allow these assemblies to own these facilities on behalf of the states. And mind you, CWSA is the one that looks for all the resources, all the loan, the grants to provide these facilities. So we have the CWSA, we have the ministry, we have local governments and rural development ministry, and then we have these assemblies. But because the communities are closer to the municipal or metropolitan and these assemblies, we all agree that they should be the ones that will own the facilities on behalf of the states. So that is the challenge that we have. And the reform is just to make sure that all of these systems are working and are sustainable so that we can go on to achieve the goals that Ghana desire concerning the sustainable development goals. Currently, Community Water and Sanitation Agency is managing 147 of these 5 systems. So, further to the measures that the President announced concerning free water, our ministry mandated CWSA to develop guidelines to guide all the water providers within the rural water sector so that we can all provide free water. And there are many of these providers. We have Community Water and Sanitation Agency. We also have the communities themselves are managing through the water and sanitation management teams. We also have non-governmental organizations, and we have other private sector companies. So all of these, scattered all over the country, are managing, and the numbers are huge. So we further submitted proposals to our ministry about how to go about this. And then it was approved, so we developed guidelines and sent these guidelines to all the metropolitan districts and municipal assemblies as to how the water should be delivered free to all citizens. We did this because we also have to follow protocols so that at least there will be some level of order at the standpipe, those communities that are using standpipes, and then also how households can be supported, and institutions, and then also private companies. And all the communities, all the water and sanitation management teams, all non-governmental organizations, and all private sector were expected to first submit a baseline data about what they were providing before the free water so that it will guide all of us when the free water data is submitted by them. So that is where we are. Government has approved it, and our job is to make sure that it's implemented. And of course, once government will use state funds, they require the agency to ensure that we all have one way of providing our guidelines and our data. So Ministry of Finance and our ministry can also agree with us that yes, truly, these are the amounts of water that has been consumed, and then the monies that we are paying are rightly not wasted. Because we are looking at large numbers, it's just right that we take our time and make sure we do not make mistakes.
The Chief Executive explained that the CWSA head office is required to submit the data on all free water service providers to the Ministry of Finance through the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. The concept of validation is to ensure value for money paid to free water service providers. Currently, the CWSA regional offices have received data from some of the communities, NGOs, and the providers, but there are several challenges with the data received.
We have to go through more than 700 communities, one by one, collect each data, make sure that data is right before we can pay. Some of the data from the communities have come. Not all the communities have provided the data. And so those that have come is also the reason why the top management is meeting to look at all of these data and see what we can do out of the data. But there are some challenges, and I want to share some of these challenges with you. As I said, there are delays in the submission. We have April, May, and June. Up till now, some of the communities have not submitted their free water data. In some cases, the data was not provided in accordance with the guidelines we have submitted. It's supposed to be the data on the water that you have consumed or you have provided to citizens. And so if you go and bring another information, or if you just send us, I have consumed 200,000 amount of water, so pay me, it's going to be difficult to determine how much water it is, what is the cost of a cubic meter of water before it translates to that amount. So that's also one of the challenges. We also have inaccurate water consumption data. In most of the communities, they are unable to measure how much water they have sold. We have also noted that there are some communities, water and sanitation management teams, or NGOs, or private sector, they have submitted electricity bills that they were not able to pay. That has accumulated over years. They have submitted that for government to pay. And so if we pay that, it will mean that we have not actually provided free water. That's not part of free water. And so we have to look at all of that. Some have included capital cost expenditure. Some say they have installed new pumps that they have bought some 1 year ago, they have included it. But that is not supposed to be part of free water. Some communities that have broken down water systems, the data has been submitted in their names. When you go verify and you know that the community members said, this water system has broken down. We have not been having water. So how did they get the data to submit? So we also have to verify that we pay only truly communities that have provided free water. And in some communities also, they have refused to provide free water. They've sold the water to the community members, but yet they have provided us data that they have sold the water. So they have collected money from the communities, and then they are expecting government to also pay them. The Association of Small Town Water, the people who have written the petition against our minister and against us. Let's look at it this way. All of these water systems were provided by the state from loans, grants. And then all of a sudden, this group of people, individuals, decided that they will form an association. So they formed the association, and they are collecting money and spending it on their own. Now, but if they think the communities own the systems, this is truly the time that they have to demonstrate that. So if something belongs to the communities and the state, the president says that we should use that same asset to provide free water, why are they refusing to provide that service to the owners of that same asset? So it's really mind-boggling, but it's not about them. It's about the community members who must benefit from the measures the government has put in place. We are going through the data that is available, and the government has provided some resources to the agency. And then once we are okay with the data, we will provide the resources to the assemblies, community by community, so that they can pay them. And there's an extension to September, and we will follow up. We will continue collecting the data from them, the free water bill that they have collected, and then we will go through it and make sure that truly we only pay the bills that were supposed to be the ones from free water, and not communities that they have already collected money from them. So far, I think that whole concept of government has decided not to pay is not true. Government has committed funds, and then we'll continue to validate and make sure that all the communities that truly consumed and were supplied with free water are paid.
In order to speed up decision on payment to communities and water service providers, CWSA is meeting to review the data submitted to validate and make payment to providers that truly provided free water to our communities.
The validation exercise so far has been very smooth across the country, with collaboration and support from the MMDAs and the water system managers whom this WSMT association is calling as their members. We have gone to communities, we've validated data, we've asked for data where it is not correct, they've submitted. And for them, for the association to have gone back to say that government is not willing to pay is neither here nor there. Because so far, no WSMT has complained to our field officers, even for the extension. We have explained to them to provide free water supplies for July. The only problem we will have for July would be sales that they have done at standpipes. Because the directive came, the announcement was made on the 23rd, and the directive would have taken effect because it's a continuation of the previous one from 24th. The onus is on CWSA to ensure that areas where monies were taken between July 1st and July 23rd, in the course of our validation, deductions are made to ascertain what really belonged to the communities. So we want to say that CWSA is committed. And the fact is this, that we, the regional directors, are the ones who are going to append our signatures to whatever data is coming from the regions to head office. The onus is on us to ensure that the right thing is done. And so the exercise, all our staff at the regional level are in the field, validating this exercise together with the assemblies. Wherever we go with representatives of the district MMDAs, and then when we sit with the WSMT staff or the operators of the system. There are instances where, for example, a water system provider just gives a lump sum for payment for bills of April and May without giving any breakdown, contrary to the formats that we gave for submission in order to make collation easy. Because it's a national exercise. And since it's a national exercise, we cannot be submitting individual community returns to head office for payment. We need to ensure that at least we do it region by region so that we don't make mistakes, to ensure that data is not lost. And so we want to stay committed that whatever we are doing is just to get value for money and to ensure that the right thing is done. But however, we are committed to paying all the water, free water that has been provided to the good people of this country.
At the end of the press briefing, CWSA top management assured the people of Ghana of their commitment to continue with the provision of free water. They also assured the providers of water to rural people in Ghana of payment of their water bills once the validation has been fully completed.